One. Hello there, my friend. So I am Pittsburgh Pat, and we are here talking about Monster Week. It is D&D programming on the channel, and you guys know that I teach D&D programs to kids through after-school programs and through summer camp, and I teach new players as a DM. And I am here with Peter. Peter, go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. My
Yeah.
name's Peter. I'm the creator and lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, which is a YouTube channel where I talk about tabletop role-playing game design philosophy. So what goes into the structures of building tabletop role-playing games, because I am a little indie tabletop role-playing game designer myself. The name of my channel is also the name of my book, Tales from Elsewhere.
Cool. And we
And
will
I love
promote.
horror.
Oh, okay,
Horror
great.
is my thing.
Okay, cool, cool.
But I've been playing D&D or tabletop role-playing games for 26 years now. The launch of third edition is when I
Okay.
got into it.
So we're going to
So
promote
D&D is
all.
still, yeah.
We'll promote all of Peter's stuff in the links below. He'll send me links and then we'll put it in the description box. But we're here to talk about Monster Week. And this year
Yeah.
it's Fae. And I read it wrong. I thought it was about hags because the first one was, that was posted was hags. So I was like, hags. Who's the first thing? I always think like I'm a Star Wars fan, so Emperor Palpatine looks like a hag to me. But then I was like, okay, what about Gandalf the Grey, man? He's got some things going on there that are kind of hag-like. So that's the ridiculous premise that I'm going with this week. And I've had some people come in and say, okay, I sort of agree with that, not agree with that. And Peter's going to shoot this entire theory down because he knows all about the Maiar and the Lord of the Rings stuff. So we're going to jump into it. And then if time permits, we'll ask each other about like how we got involved with Monster Week. But first of all, a shout out to Pointy Hat and Ginny D, the giants, the titans, the legends. I have a little bit of imposter syndrome just being on the same Discord with them, but like they're
Yeah.
awesome people. And thank you for the getting this community together. Everybody has been wonderful so far. I mean, that has been your experience as well, I assume, Peter.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
surreal, to be like, oh, there's Ginny D just talking to people. And I did Monster Week last year. That was my first Monster Week, which
Okay.
was Dragon Week, and that was a ton of fun. But I've only been on YouTube for about 2 years now,
Nice.
so yeah, I'm still pretty fresh-faced in that regard. But yeah, the whole Dungeon Tuber community is super welcoming and just really cool. Just fellow nerds, just love
Yeah, it's way
we love
tighter
our
than I thought. You
games.
know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
small and it's tight and it's very welcoming. So I've had a very positive experience with that.
Cool, cool. So if any of you guys out there are like burgeoning YouTubers, like I've always wanted to do this, just get started, man. Just start uploading stuff,
Yeah, there's
All
no
right.
judgment about sizes of
Mm,
channel, none of that. Like
mm,
if you have 100 subscribers or
100,000.
200,000 subscribers, they're all just there
It's
hanging out.
respect. It's
Yeah,
respect because this is tough stuff
absolutely.
to do. All right. So
Absolutely.
is Gandalf a hag? Is Deckard a replicant? I mean, like, these are like ageless questions. No, I'm just kidding. I'm probably the only person that's like thinking that Gandalf is a hag. But here's the thing. We know he's not a wizard, right? We know, I mean, there's a theory, he's not really a wizard. He casts what, like light? What else does he really cast? Like he doesn't have a book. He's not like reading incantations, right?
Right. Well, we could get into it. It's so interesting.
Let's
Like
do
this,
it.
so one of my passions is folklore. I love folklore and thinking about the origins of all the myths we have. And obviously Tolkien was shared that passion.
Oh yeah. And
You know,
made
like,
up some.
yeah, absolutely. And what is a wizard in the context of Lord of the Rings is an interesting question also. Because
Mm,
Gandalf is an Istari, I believe is the term. So he's a
mm,
type of Maiar. Gandalf is an angel, like put into human form, kind
hmm.
of. Like
Yeah.
it's really weird, right? But a lot of modern wizardry, we think of the
The
hat,
pointy
and
hat.
I think of Merlin from the animated Sword in the Stone as like a
Yes.
classic wizard.
Yes.
But
One of my friends
Merlin,
was wearing a Sword in the Stone t-shirt
oh heck yeah,
at Star Wars
that
card
movie
game today.
holds up really
Yeah.
well. I love that
Hmm.
movie. Actually, I rewatched it not that
I do
long
like
ago.
it.
Yeah, but Merlin in the original like Arthurian legend, where we get this story,
Sure.
does use a lot of magic.
I'm a big
But it
fan of
wasn't until
Mallory.
yeah, yeah, like Mallory. So in the death of King Arthur, the death of Arthur, the kind of our oldest established version,
Hmm.
Merlin is still very abstract, and it felt like only when T.H. White did the Once and Future King
Hmm.
that he became the hat,
A
like
character.
yeah, like the character, and that character leaps off the page.
Hmm.
Anyway, so it's really interesting. Yeah, like so the Gandalf we see is a little closer to old versions of what a wizard would be like. He's more of
Mm.
a sage
Hmm.
and knows things that humans can't know than he
Mm.
is today what we think of wizards, where they wield magic like a weapon. And so it's a
Yes.
really interesting change over time.
Hmm.
But yeah, Gandalf doesn't match a D&D wizard at all.
Mm, not at all, not at
Not
all.
at all.
Nope, he's got a couple cantrips about it. So let's get into it though. So hags, one of the things that hags are, and I've got 10 points. So like,
Yep.
I had some like cards here, so we can like do this old school, like we're
Oh, nice.
2012. So
I love an
number,
analog tool.
yes, number one, because I'm not
Yeah.
great at digital tools, is that he communicates with animals. Now, like hags are notorious for like, having their little familiars, having
Hmm.
their crow, having their interaction with nature and animals and that sort of thing. So, we see Gandalf talking to the moth,
Yep.
giving it instructions, let it fly away. The eagles come and save the day at the end. Where were they the whole time? But sorry, plot hole. And then it's but yeah, I mean, that's my, and I'm not saying that like he's the only, only hags can talk to animals, but it's definitely an indicator.
Yeah, so my educational background is in philosophy, and one of the things which makes me
Sweet.
well, it shaped my brain in a certain way, I think.
Hmm.
So whenever I look at these questions, like is Deckard a replicant, that's a great topic, by the way.
We can talk about that another
Like
time.
that's like another video, but
I got all day. That's my
yeah,
favorite movie.
it's incredible.
Well, one of them.
Anyway, when we're looking at does something qualify as X, we have to ask, well, what is the definition of a
Sure.
hag,
Sure.
right? And that'll help shape us. And hag, because hag is almost distinct from witch
Yes.
in how a lot of mythology and folklore and modern D&D, because we're talking about D&D here, right?
That's right.
And how those are presented in
That's right.
D&D is also very different. You
Specifically
know,
5e. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's the
particular, yeah, if we
night
talk
hag,
modern D&D, yeah,
and the night hag is not considered fey, right? So the night hag in D&D 5e
right?
is
It's a
actually considered
fiend,
a fiend, a devil. Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah,
like, yeah, so like the night hag is not, the sea hag is fey, and the
right.
green hag is probably the one we're all thinking of. When
Yeah, that's
that's
the
the one I comes to
classic.
mind. That's the one that
Yeah.
like, Hansel and Gretel, they go out to the woods
Yep.
and there's the gingerbread house and there's yep, that's the hag, right?
100%. That's the one that's probably most familiar to Western people because of the
Yes,
folklore that
because
surrounds it,
of
right?
that.
Yeah,
The Grimm's
there's like a
fairy tales.
lineage, a legacy that goes way back to our early folklore of, we'd say, the West, like Europe and the UK,
Sure.
that really rings true there, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Well,
and
Tolkien is dealing with Beowulf. He's dealing with that
yeah,
regional kind of cultural region, and he's inventing one for England because like they had to adopt Beowulf as their like origin story. And so like really what it's a reinventing of an origin story. And he was like, what
yeah.
if we had our own that was separate from the Scandinavians? And that's really what, am I wrong about that?
No, no, yeah, that's totally in line with it, and that's the strength of making original folklore. There's a little bit into the weeds, but there's a difference between writing fantasy and writing original folklore too. These are very different.
Mhm.
I've read a lot of fantasy, like
Sure.
like the
Sword and
Dragonlance
sorcery.
books,
Sure.
like
Absolutely.
classic,
Hmm.
D&D stuff.
Yep.
And fantasy is distinct from folklore in that folklore is the lore of the folk, right? It is a local people's um, way to explain reality and reinforce taboos, right?
Hmm.
Which is different than a fantasy, right?
Sure.
And so
Like
Tolkien
say
was writing
like
folklore,
mhm.
really. These are the
Yeah.
stories of Middle Earth and presented in a way that felt more intimate, right? Than the remote nature of fantasy can sometimes be. Because, like I
Sure.
said, he grounded it in English history and the English identity. It's fascinating stuff. Anyway,
Point two. All right.
yeah,
Yep. Yep. Well, we're going to do this. This is going to
I
go off
love
the
it.
rails
I
a bunch,
love
and I
it.
love it too. So, point two, we're illusion magic, right? So, hags are often they portray themselves as something they are not, right? So they have control over like an illusory thing. So, before I get into the personality thing, which is a separate point, it's like the gingerbread house. The gingerbread house looks appealing. Really, it's a like ramshackle shack, right?
Yeah.
When the reality is broken. The same. So Gandalf is capable of illusions. He has the fireworks that look like dragons swooping in, right? And he's able to like manipulate small illusions. So that, that's point two. And like I said, these may be weak points, but I think cumulatively they start to develop into a pattern.
Well,
So,
in his I don't remember if this is we would say this is part of his illusion per se, but Gandalf, as we see him, this old man is not his true form
mhm.
either, right?
Yeah, you're going
So
into some of my further
yeah,
points.
I'd say that's a
Yes.
later one. That's a later one.
Not
But yeah,
really.
there's or is that number three? Am I
It
like
kind of
one
leads
ahead?
into number three. So number
Okay,
three is
yeah,
remember the scene, the great scene where Bilbo is like, "Well, I
yeah,
don't really want to give up the ring. It's mine anyway. It's mine. It came to me. I should. What's wrong with me owning this?"
yeah.
And then Gandalf, there's this kind of like darkness that comes around him, and he stands up and he says,
Hmm.
"Bilbo Baggins, do not take me for whatever he says, like,
Conjurer of cheap
"Hun,
tricks.
yes, cheap tricks."
So great.
Yes,
It's what a
wonderful,
great
right? And
scene.
so a lot of my friends have said, well, that's called commanding presence. And I can sort of go along with that. But I think it's more revealing his true self at that nature, in his nature, possibly.
Yeah, no,
Possibly.
I agree with you on that. Like, even if I don't necessarily agree high level that maybe Gandalf is a hag, I definitely can agree with a lot of these interpretations, though, because,
Because hags do
Gandalf,
that, right? They
yeah,
portray
yeah,
themselves as beautiful women or
yeah,
frail old women, and then that ugly monster
yeah,
comes
then
out at
they're
some point.
true, either fiendish or fey or whatever kind of version we're playing with here
Mhm.
comes true. And that is absolutely true for Gandalf because he's an avatar. Like, th this form of him is not his true self.
It's something
What
he's
is he?
adopted to be more presentable to the
Yeah, yeah,
folks
so
that
that he can be
he's.
the teacher of he's supposed to guide people, right? Like against Sauron. He's not there to win the war, he's there to help like the peoples of Middle-earth. Anyway, yeah,
Okay,
he has a
I have an
greater
argument about that
terrifying
later. Yeah, but
yeah, yeah,
okay.
he has a terrifying to view like the Maiar or any of these like godlike entities or their avatars would be terrifying, right? A very be not afraid sort of thing, which is hag-like as their true form is
Well,
terrifying.
I mean, even as much insofar as like elves go, like when Frodo presents the ring to
Yeah,
in
Galadriel.
yeah
Yeah.
to Galadriel. Galadriel turns into this wicked queen, this
Yep.
Disney-like kind of like Snow White kind of like like or even like Maleficent kind of thing. I would be a
Yep.
great queen,
Yeah,
terrible and
instead of a Dark
terrifying.
Lord, you'll have a
Yes,
queen, terrible and beautiful as the sun, or something like
just
that.
a wonderful scene, just
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful.
everybody knocked it out of
Wouldn't it
that
be
movie,
great
of
to be an
course.
actor and be able to like just possess that role?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
What fun that must have been.
so much fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And into point four, which is
Hmm.
about that kind of transformation thing, he does look frail, but he has extraordinary strength and speed. So this is something that are a hag quality. If you look it up, you type in Google, hey, what's a hag do? Yeah, they kind of look like decrepit and old and oh, please don't hurt me, please.
Yeah.
And they're wickedly fast and strong. And we see this with Gandalf. And at one point, I think it's the Witch King of Angmar has him kind of down, and he's actually Gandalf the White at this point. And it
Mm.
looks like all hope is lost. And but he's also the guy who can like rally the troops, right? So he comes down to Helm's Deep and rides forth on the charge. Now, a frail old man's not going to be able to ride
Yeah.
Shadowfax. And I think at that point, what's the name of his sword at that point?
That he's
Glam.
wielding, I think it's
Yeah.
Glamdring, if
Yeah,
I
there's
remember
two. He has
correctly.
two,
This is
right?
scratching my brain, like the
Yeah,
back of my brain,
there's
and trying
two
to
that
remember
are
it all.
named, I think. And yeah, Glamdring, I think, is the one that he has at that point, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. I might be mistaken.
Some get down in the comments
Put
if
in the
you're watching
comments,
this.
that's what they're for.
Yeah,
Tell
correct
us.
us.
That's
Yeah.
right. Tell us if we're right or wrong. And also to change his appearance, he turns from gray to white, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I mean, he's transformed, and that kind of hag transformation thing that happens. It's almost like I don't know that this is a tradition. Maybe you can tell me because you know the folklore maybe better. But if you find a true name, right, like Rumpelstiltskin or something of that nature, if you find a hag's true name, maybe, probably not.
Well, yeah, in the folklore, what we find in folklore is there's less definition. So like hag is not something we're going to find specifically, right?
Okay.
Simply because what we have now from hag is inheriting from a lot of the archetype is forgetting the technical name for this archetype, but it's the woman of the woods.
Okay.
Woman of the woods, which is hags, witches, a lot of these kinds of things.
Yeah, but
They
also healers and like,
yeah, yeah, it's it was often women living outside of society who have special knowledge,
Hmm.
right? That knowledge was some arcane or eldritch or
Herbalism or
mystical or often
healing.
healing, which was magical, to a
Yeah.
poultice that cures you or a potion that cures you could have just been like, herbal tea. But so there's this otherness to them out there. But to a lot of, well, this goes back even to ancient people, but the power of a name is like found in almost every culture, right? The power of somebody's name. And a true name was often the something hidden by a riddle that you had to like you had to figure out, and once you did, you had power over them. So I don't remember any specifically about like witches, hags, or any of that, but it was all over the place in folklore.
Well,
Like,
it's still, and I love when it's used, and I use this sometimes in my campaigns when I do like Adventure League and that sort of thing. But I love a good example is Dune, right? So Paul Atreides, right? He
mhm.
meets the Fremen, and the Fremen are like, "Well, this is the name you will have in society, but you have a true name as well, and that will be used only among your clan, right?" And
Yeah,
then it turns out Muad'Dib becomes like one of the weird. You say it into a weirding module, it like explodes like stone pyramids and things. So like
oh, we're talking about that version of Dune.
well, I love the 84 version. I'm sorry. But like, Lynch took some liberties.
Lynch took some liberties.
But the
Yeah,
idea
I
of the
do love it too.
power of the name,
Yeah.
it's literal in that sense, right?
Yeah, his name will be a killing curse is part of
Mm,
the Fremen myth,
hmm
of which Lynch took
hmm hmm
literally,
hmm
which the book does not take
No,
literally. And it's
no.
interesting. I also love that movie for all of its strangeness. Even if it
Yeah.
is wildly inaccurate from the book,
Well,
it is a piece
the
of art.
you can't you like horror. I'm not a big horror fan, but
Yeah.
body horror is something that a really good friend of mine, she does a lot of eldritch and she does a lot of body horror, and I'm not big on it. But the heart plugs in Dune to this day, like that traumatized me when I was a child. I'm like, no, it's just this so like vulnerability and this that power that the Harkonnen emperor has over his minions that he could
Yeah.
just demand their immediate death, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, terribly beautiful symbol of his authoritarianism, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. His control and his distrust, his paranoia as
Oh
well,
yeah.
which is fascinating.
So
Anyway.
anyway, hags are often depicted, number six, with a staff, right?
Yeah. Is
They're
that a
often
Star Wars? Sorry, is that a Star Wars Uno deck that I'm seeing?
This is a Star Wars Uno deck that I
Oh,
use to
that is
teach the
awesome.
kids with. Yeah, and there's actually a Mandalorian one now
Oh,
too.
very
Yeah,
nice.
which has special rules. So like it's definitely
Nice.
worth picking up if you can find
I
it.
see yeah, Jabba's palace. Is that Jabba's palace Luke there, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, this is Luke on the skiff, right?
Yeah, on the skiff right
And
over the
there's a really
Sarlacc pit.
good
Okay.
card game called Jabba's Palace that's really interesting, and it's good for like middle school and grade school kids.
That's
It's
awesome.
very simple mechanics if
I
you
knew
want
I'd like you. The things you have are good. You have good stuff.
to. Yeah.
Anyway, so the staff, yeah.
Yeah, the staff. So, like, obviously, Gandalf's got this great, wicked, he's the gray, he's got this gnarled root almost at the top of it. And, my one buddy said, oh, he definitely cast Shillelagh on that thing.
Yeah, because
But
he whacked some people with it in the movie.
right, right, absolutely. And hags, I mean, they have the stat, they're often like walking
Yeah.
along looking at that frail thing, but also the broomstick, right, with the witch. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
also, I think that's not a far jump to say that that's a magical focus object or almost a companion in its flying broom form.
Yeah, the staff is really interesting. If we, I won't
Let's
dig
do it.
too much into this, not
Let's do
too
it.
much, but it's
Let's,
really interesting. So, okay, the staff used for hags or fae or things associated with the other is interesting because it's an inversion of the staff that would be used in, we'd say, early Christian ritual, not used so much in modern ones. In Catholicism, they still use it, but that was a symbol of like divine authority along with a scepter. And so for them to have their gnarled staff is a cool parallel, or it's a juxtaposition between them. Theirs isn't adorned with symbols of the crucifix or something like that. Theirs are adorned with like gnarled roots and gems and
bits of
these
hair
other
from some of their
exactly these
victims and it's gnarled.
exactly.
It's literally perverted. It's literally
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
literally like, you know, yeah, distorted. Mhm.
Exactly. It's and
Yeah.
it's associated with the earth, with nature. It's usually very natural materials, rather than something made of metal or worked wood or ivory or these other images that would be used in that, which
Right.
is interesting in Gandalf's case when he goes from gray to white, of course.
Yes, because
The
the white staff is much more refined. It's got
Yeah.
kind of this like spiral crisscross like pattern that
hmm Yeah, like a
I
filigree to it, and it
yeah.
reminds it. It honestly always makes me think of Gondor itself and the way they did the architecture, like the way that the
Hmm.
staff looks and the whiteness, because Gondor is the white city.
The White
Anyway,
City.
that's
Yeah.
like my personal, like the visual designer of those movies thought about the white city when they were designing Gandalf's staff. There's no proof of this, no
Yeah,
precedence, but
I only have theories of this too, but I
yeah.
think what I see when I see that kind of like crisscrossing pattern, the kinetic element of it, as
Mm.
an artist, my wife is we used to have a pottery studio. She's taught
Oh,
me a lot
awesome.
about art. I have more of a discipline in writing, but it all crosses over. But to
Yeah.
me, that is like almost like he's the holder of the sacred flame, right? So to me, that has a
Mm.
flame element to it. It
Yeah,
has
I see it.
a white flame flickering
I see
element.
it. I see
Especially
it.
if you were to twist that, you could imagine that
Yeah, yeah, more of a
spiral.
spiral or like
Mhm.
a helix sort of shape. Yeah, it
And
would look very
it
flame-like.
would look movement. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, number seven is that hags are often isolated, right, and territorial. They kind of like they may be part of a community, but they're usually outliers in the community, right? And
hmm
they're they spend a lot of their time alone. Certainly, Gandalf does this, right? So he comes into like you know Rivendell, or he comes into the Shire, but he really spends a lot of his time out. And we see this one scene in particular reminds me of this. He goes to the library at one point, and he like spends an inordinate amount of time. We're led to believe that he spends, days and days or weeks and months because he's eating and drinking, and he's just going through all these books, and papers and scrolls and trying to like, find these arcane things. And we assume that he's been there for a long time. He's kind of like a force unto himself. He doesn't really belong to any particular society, right?
Yeah,
Like
because he's
he's
not a person, right? Yeah. And I think in the book he's gone like 10 years or something. I forget the number. It's a long time he's
right.
actually gone. So yeah, Frodo's like forgotten about like, oh, that old thing, I threw it in a chest, right? The movie compresses this, of course, but yeah, I think in the book, get down in the comments and remind me because it's been a while since I've read The Lord of the Rings, but yeah, it's like years have passed as well.
Mm.
So he's cloistered himself in these archives and such. But yeah, and that taps into what we were saying earlier about how hags are always supposed to be the other. They're outside of society. They don't fit in with society in some way.
Mhm.
And Gandalf, he's not a man or a dwarf or a halfling, right? He's none of those things. He's
Nope.
a wizard, which is just them conceptualizing
Other.
this magic man. He's just a magic man. Now, what differentiates him and his
Was that Pat
otherness,
Benatar? No, that was
yeah,
who
yeah,
was that? That was who did
Pat
Barracuda?
Benatar
Hart. Was
sounds
that Hart?
Heart. Yeah, Heart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I know
That's
what I'm going to
Christian.
listen to later today. uh,
70s channel.
yeah. So the Hag and Gandalf both share this otherness to them outside of society. What I think makes Gandalf distinct from, say, some of the other wizards like Radagast or Sauron is that Gandalf was the Great Pilgrim. Is that he walked the earth, right?
Hmm.
He traveled a lot rather than
Hmm.
ever really having a lair. But
Hmm.
we would see that Radagast and Sauron kind of settled down more. Radagast being in Fangorn, if I remember correctly, and
Hmm.
Sauron, of course, being at in Isengard is with
Hmm.
his
Kind of
Orthanc,
the
the name of his tower.
crossroads.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
kind of the urban. Well, let's do that. So that's number eight,
yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah,
so you went right into it. This is great. This has a logical flow. Finally,
yeah.
at least somebody understands my logic. So yes, witches especially, but hags often form covens, and covens often come in threes, right? Like the classic Shakespeare, like weird sisters of Macbeth. They're in threes, and Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast could constitute something like
I
a
was gonna say
coven.
there's two more, the two blue wizards, they're just not in the
They're not
movies,
in the
but
movies. Yeah.
yeah, and they also
Yeah.
barely feature in the texts. But
Yeah.
there is five total, but we only are presented three like substantively in
Right.
the stories. But even if it was five, Five is
Five is a magic number.
five is also a magic number
Yeah.
like three
Yeah.
is, and so
Odd
that would still
numbers.
be very coven like.
Hmm.
Um,
The five-pointed
eh,
star.
yeah, and we would say three and five are magic numbers, particularly in the West. You're going to have different magic numbers that I'm less familiar with once you go further east, but a
Sure.
lot of them are for forming triangles, for forming stars, right?
Hmm.
These are considered geometrically magical. Yeah, he is
Pythagorean.
part of a coven that come together to accomplish things. Supposed to be for good in Lord of the Rings, right? They're supposed to come together for the betterment of Middle Earth. Yeah, he is part of a coven, and they are stronger when they're together. Their power
Yeah,
is
and
stronger.
as you were saying, Radagast is like the nature, element of it. And
Yeah,
Saruman, I think, is the urban element. He's the
yeah,
technological element. He makes these great machines, these war machines, and he actually is a geneticist. He like makes the
yeah,
Uruk-hai, right? So
yeah.
I mean, he's the guy, he's the science guy, right?
Hmm.
And 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 Gandalf somewhere in between. He's like like you said, he's like the people person, right?
Yeah,
He's
he's
the
a
one that he
sage.
gets it
Yeah,
from the cultures. He studies, he's an anthropologist, he's
yeah. He smokes the halfling leaf, as they say.
yeah, he
Yeah,
goes along with the natives, what the natives' traditions are, and he
and they all have
observes
different
them.
names for him. Wherever he
Mhm.
goes, they'll know him as Mithrandir or Gandalf or whatever it may be, right? And I never
Mhm.
remember all the different names that people end up calling him in his journeys. But yeah, he's more not urban, but was it urbane to use a slightly different term?
Sure.
He's more worldly in that way, and that makes him. That's why he ends up being so much the wiser than the others in the end, right? Is because of
Yeah,
his
he's
far
he's
travels.
wise, but he's also charismatic, right? So
Yeah,
so if you're gonna give him his two, he's not a strength dex guy. He's like if you're gonna create a character,
yeah,
he's a
yeah,
wisdom,
yeah,
charisma guy, right? Is he just walking around casting friends like all day
yeah.
long?
On
Like, is that
everybody.
a cantrip for him?
Right.
Like,
It's funny
yeah,
to think of the fellowship in terms of a D&D build because you have
mm,
like somebody like Frodo is a level one thief, or not rogue in modern one, right? But then Gandalf's 25th level. He's just purposefully not doing anything. Aragorn is one of the Dunedain, is very high level
yes.
at the start of the adventure. Frodo levels up a lot over the course of his journeys, of course. But yeah, it's funny the party balance would never work at a real table.
No, I think what you're doing, if you're going to run it as a thing, you're the dungeon master. You play Gandalf, right? So like you influence the events. You can railroad the
Yeah,
players by telling them, nope, it's time to go to Misty Mountain. Oh,
and that and
wait,
that's
it's
a
time to go
lot
to
how
Rivendell.
the One Ring RPG is sort of presented, and that you're not
Hmm.
playing the fellowship, you make your
Hmm.
own fellowship, and you
Hmm.
have a patron, and they give you
Yes.
options. That's like Gandalf can be one of them, and so yeah, the dungeon master, I forget if they have a special term for it apart from game master in that book, but
Yeah, they
they are
do.
Gandalf, and you're gonna listen to Gandalf.
I actually just reviewed the Lord of the Rings 5e
Ah, the
starter
5e
set.
version, right?
Yeah, so that's not the One Ring, but it's got that element to it where you do have a patron and
Yeah.
um and there's a lore master basically. That's your DM.
Gotcha.
They're a lore
Yeah, you got to
master.
pick your own different fun name, for your game.
True, but they actually use 5e. They don't actually say
Yeah, that's true. They
D&D
could have
anywhere,
used
but it's compatible with it, I think.
right, right, 5e
Yeah.
compatible. I haven't
Yeah.
read that one actually.
It's good. It's
I've
only
just
30
read the
bucks. It
name.
was fun. We tried to
Yeah.
run it the very same day that we bought it just to
Yeah, cool.
do it right out of the box. There is a mechanic in there where you need to download an app to help with like traveling. It's a big element of it.
Oh,
We had to skip
interesting.
that part because I was a lore master and I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't realize that was a
Yeah,
thing.
I don't usually like digital tools at my table
Yeah, me
anyway when I'm
neither.
running in
I want
person.
to do
Yeah.
face to face. So like, that's what I teach the kids
Yeah, I'm
basically.
very
It's like
phones away.
put your phones away, put your
Yeah.
iPads down. We're going to do the books. You're going to make your own stuff. You're going to add, you're going
Write
to
in
use
pens. Yeah,
pencil
you're
and
gonna write it
paper.
down. Yeah.
You're going to erase. We'll give him pink erasers. We do the whole thing. The one kid yesterday, he's a great kid, Ronan. He said, can I make my own dinosaur statistics? I was like, I'm going to cry.
Yeah,
Yes,
heck yeah, you
yes, you
can.
most certainly can, and
Please
that is in the
do.
finest tradition of D&D. Yes, make up your own stuff and then bring
Yeah,
it for next time.
100%. There's depending on what age you get into the hobby, there's things that always happens. Like I was an awkward teenager when I got into D&D. Yeah, and this would be like the year 2000. or something like that, right? Third edition's around that time. So of course I made homebrew based on the anime I was watching, and as a
Yeah,
teenager, of course it was horrible,
sure.
right? Obviously
Wait, wait,
terrible.
wait. 2000?
Yeah, I think the year 2000.
So Spike Spiegel, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time.
I
A
cosplay
being
Spike
a
Spiegel
child
when
of
I
the
go to
80s. Oh,
conventions.
heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, there's a certain era that I was brought up in where a lot of what are considered some of the classic animes were like fresh, right, and
Yep.
just airing, and
Yep.
so like things like Cowboy Bebop being among
Hmm.
them. Um, but yeah, like dinosaurs, everybody homebrew some dinosaurs into D&D. Heck yeah,
Yeah. That's why I love
dinosaurs are
Schultz.
awesome.
I give him dinosaurs. I mean, D with the
Yeah,
one campaign, my friend said you gave him D, D, and D. You gave him dinosaurs. What was it? Dinosaurs, devils, and oh shoot, I can't remember the next one though. Oh well. But
dragons.
yeah,
Yeah.
dragons. That's right. I had two red dragons. One had to
Oh,
rescue
nice.
the other.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was being held by a Baylor. And yeah, so
Super
all
fun.
right, we went way, way, way off. Okay, but number nine. All right, Gandalf gaslights Bilbo into being a thief. Hags do this all the time, right? They cajole, they fool, they convince the villagers that they're not a threat. Just leave me alone in the woods. Just every once in a while, I'll give you something nice, and but they get other people to do things for them. But well, that's actually number 10. But number nine, he goes to Bilbo and he says, "Yeah, I got these 12 dwarves with me that want to like go kill this dragon, and they need a burglar." Which is obviously you who bake pies, read books, smoke pipe weed, and want to
Yeah.
stay at home all day. You're the perfect candidate for a
Yeah, the
burglar.
local gentry of Bag End, right?
Right.
Of the Shire. He's not a working class hobbit. He's landed gentry.
I don't even think he tends his own garden. Doesn't he have
No,
a
no.
gardener?
No, no. Yeah, he has a gardener, and but yeah, he's a fairly wealthy individual. Like the Bagginses are well off
Hmm.
of the Shire. So no, he does not work or labor for a living, right? But Samwise does, right? Samwise is he's like a not a yeoman, but he's like a normal peasant. You know what I mean? In that sort
Yes.
of cast. Yeah.
Yeah. In the medieval
Anyway.
sense. It's not
Yeah,
like,
in the
there's
medieval
nothing
sense.
wrong. There's nothing, that's not a derogatory term like it
Absolutely
is
not.
today. Yeah.
Sam is
Mhm.
the hero also of that
I,
of that story.
Oh, thank
He's the
you.
best.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can talk about that. We'll do a whole thing about that because
Yeah.
it's really, some people say, and I believe it, it's really Sam's story.
Yeah.
Because
I
Sam's the
I
one that
like that interpretation.
he's the
Yeah.
one that comes home. He marries his childhood sweetheart. He marries his high school sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
And they have kids, and civilization continues through him, right?
Yeah. And he's
Frodo,
unmarked.
Frodo's broken.
Yeah.
And he has to go, he's an invalid. He has to go to a retirement village. He's done. He needs medical attention that only magical elves can give him. He's sacrificed himself to save the world, but he
Yeah.
is done,
Yeah.
spent. It's
And he would
his,
not have succeeded without Sam.
no.
Sam is a rock throughout their journey.
Correct me if I'm wrong. In the books, actually, Sam does take the ring at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he gosh. Yeah, he carries it at one point. He has it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um
I mean,
and it
Frodo's not too
causes
happy about it, but he does it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So,
it causes so these kind of things. You get people arguing about the transitive property of the ring's corruption because if Sam can carry Frodo, who's carrying the ring, and if that doesn't corrupt Sam, then you can simply layer enough between you and the ring and carry it like effectively or something funny.
wow, that's deep. I had
Yeah,
not
like I
considered
check out
that.
on those, like applying
Yeah.
math, because well,
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings is a story of a series of events, right? It's not presented as a physics-based simulation.
I try to tell people this all the time. When I have new DMs or if I have new players, I say, this D&D is not physics.
Yeah,
There's no way. It doesn't
I agree.
work that way. I mean, yeah, we try to say, okay, every round is 6 seconds and this sort of thing, but like it's very fluid, you know.
100%. It's
Yeah.
I play with my regular D&D group, of which I'm the new guy. I started playing 26 years ago, but I'm, the new guy because I didn't start
That's
playing with the red box, right?
awesome.
It's the most fun group of guys.
Do you guys play old school rules?
No, no, we've always I joined them with fourth edition when
Okay.
that was new, so I've been playing with them for a while, and they're always
Mhm.
just whatever the new edition is, let's pick it up.
Oh,
But what the
how
main
flexible.
DM, the host, what he does though is he has all the old adventures. he updates them and he runs them in 5.5 edition.
That's great.
We just did Expedition to Barrier Peaks.
There's
Oh heck
Blizzard
yeah.
Pass. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So yeah, we did Expedition to Barrier Peaks just in our fifth edition pirate campaign, right? He just
Oh,
takes
yeah.
them and runs them in the updated stuff. We're doing we've got what is it, the rod of seven parts.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We
We're
did
doing
that.
that right
Yeah,
now.
we
We're
did
assembling the
Eva Vecna.
rod.
Yeah, we did Eva
Yep,
Vecna.
super cool
Eva
stuff.
Vecna is nice because it's a tour of the realms, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get
So
to
we're
go to
spell jamming.
Eberron, you get to go
Yeah.
to Avernus, you get to go everywhere, and you get to go like to the casino.
Yep, we
it's a
do all the
blast.
stuff. We
Yeah.
just hit the Demon Web Pits, is
Okay.
where we are right now,
Okay.
in that adventure sequence. But yeah, it's fun stuff. So he does a lot of that old school adventures just for the modern rules. That's just the way that group runs. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
I'm moderately OSR coded in my brain and how I run even modern D&D.
Hmm.
Um,
Deadly.
yeah, I like how to, well, it's because I like horror also. I like when
Hmm.
there's a little bit more visceralness to the experience rather than
Surrealness.
purely heroic. So when I've run D&D, I don't run a ton of D&D anymore. I play it a lot. I reduce option, like I cut it way down to a very particular experience, which takes
Hmm.
a lot of work. But for like a D&D group, they don't want to play a different game necessarily.
Yeah.
Like I ran a campaign where there was no, you couldn't use any class that could use magic. No magic. Um,
Wow.
and cut it way down.
Yeah.
And there was no healing potions, none of that, right? And so it changed the player's relationship to combat
Sure,
because
because it could be
now,
deadly.
yeah, you get worn down from the combat,
Hmm.
but I balanced the world around that assumption. And the mission was to find the magic that was lost, right? So that magic would come back. But to do that, there was a bunch of normal, like a magicless ranger, just like a hunter, a rogue, just like a thief, right? A warrior. And they had to go and find the magic that was lost in the
This
world.
is
That kind
good.
of thing. It's fun, right? But I had to
Yeah.
cut it down uh, significantly.
So we can, yeah, well, we'll take a little detour. I can talk about this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I teach a lot. I do a lot of Adventure League and I teach a lot of kids.
Heck
So
yeah.
it's got to be
Love Adventure
reduced
League.
because otherwise they'll be like, hey, we're going to go over here. And I'm like, yeah, well, here's one thing you have to learn. The DM didn't prepare all of that. So like you kind of have to work with the DM on this.
Yeah,
So
we got to get on the train here. Like,
this is what I
this is Adventure
prepared.
League
You want to
also.
go over
Yeah.
there, you guys do your own thing. And that's totally fine. In fact, yesterday I had three groups and they were all doing their own thing and it was awesome. That's where I
Yeah.
want them to go, right? So they can play this with their family and their friends when I'm not
Yeah.
around.
Experience that freedom.
But what I do for for especially for Adventure League is I think of it more like I have a writing background, and so I think of it more like what experience what emotion do I want these players to have? So if it's horror, I don't do horror, but if it's horror, of course, I want fear. I want the players feel suspense, or something
Yeah.
like
That
that.
tension.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But for Adventure League, I do the exact I deter that because we want players to like come in and it's very welcoming, right? And there's a lot
Yep.
of parents and
I've played
children. So I'm like, look,
thousands of
your
hours of Adventure League. So
characters
fun.
can be afraid, but we don't want you to be afraid. So if you're afraid, you touch like the magic like safety
Yep.
ring,
If
and
you've
then
got
I
a
change
card
it.
or
I
a
change
whatever it
it.
is. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
If spiders like ruined your taxes, then I'll make it giant centipedes or something. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Much better for people who fear of spiders, right? Well, yeah.
but
The
yeah,
purpose of horror is to have fun, just like any other genre. Like watching a horror movie should be
should be
enjoyable.
fun. If it's
It should
not,
be.
then you're not supposed to watch that one.
Yeah, yeah, then it's not for you, and that's also okay, right? But
Absolutely.
yeah, with Adventure League, which I used to do so much, I'd go to three conventions a year that primarily did Adventure League that were local to me. So much fun.
Cool.
But you're there to sign up for D&D adventures, and there's an adventure you are going on. It's not time to derail and selfishly take all seven of these other people off to the side, because the DM who was handed the packet that weekend for the con doesn't have anything else ready, right? It's kind of the nature of Adventure League sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Number
super
10.
fun.
Okay,
Yep.
number 10. Related to like the gaslighting of Bilbo as a thief, but you know, hags like to get other people to do their dirty work, right? If they can.
Mhm.
And Frodo carries the ring, right? So Gandalf doesn't even want to touch the ring, right? He's
Right.
like afraid of it, sort of. He doesn't want to be corrupted by it. And he doesn't even know what it is. Like he's not even sure it's the real ring until Frodo puts in the fire. Like what kind of wizard doesn't have identify? Like, come on.
Yeah, just cast
Like,
identify, bro.
what the heck, man? Like this
Skill
is
issue.
ridiculous. Yeah. So like another point that he's not a wizard in the D&D sense, but he convinces poor Frodo to carry this thing. And hags almost always secretly delight in the suffering of other beings, right? Now, I'm not
Mhm.
saying that like Gandalf enjoys that Frodo is suffering, but he certainly doesn't take the ring from him to help him not
Right.
suffer.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
know? I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I'm making an observation here, not a
Yeah.
judgment.
It's funny. And it's interesting about we're gonna dig into like what is Gandalf's purpose a little bit, which is I think a an interesting and sometimes contested subject of
Sure.
what's Gandalf's job exactly, and what are the limitations of that job, and because if he could in theory solve a lot of problems with the power he's able to wield in
Sure.
theory, but he doesn't, which is interesting. He works through others. He's supposed to like teach them how to do it themselves, we might say. There's
Mhm.
one way to present it. But yeah, like hags, so hags wish to it's not just that they want you to do a thing, is they want to corrupt you in the process, right?
Mhm.
That's a common trope. The hag's bargain, like, yes, they've cured you of an ailment, but now you need to bring me like
You owe
the
them a
heart of
favor.
someone you love or somebody,
Mm.
right? Something
Hmm.
really, scary.
Really tough.
Yeah, and then in doing that act, if you do, now you are marked forever, right? With the evil you have done, which we could parallel to Gandalf and Frodo, is that Frodo is forever marked by his experiences carrying the One Ring. That destroying it didn't remove that mark from him, right?
Not at
Why
all.
he goes to the Undying Lands.
Mhm.
And could Gandalf have solved the problem without Frodo's immense suffering? Maybe. I don't know. We're getting into the deep end, but that is a funny parallel. That's pretty common in quest givers.
Mhm.
There's often a working through others sort of thing, and we can sometimes ask. I wonder this in D&D a lot. Like this quest giver seems a lot more powerful than us. Why don't they just go
Yeah,
solve
why
it?
don't you do it? Yeah,
Why don't
yeah.
you do it? Yeah,
Well,
you
it's
retired 20th level adventurer.
yeah,
Why don't you just go
yeah.
fireball all the goblins or
Well, I
something?
mean, and sometimes there's a really well-written reason, right? So
Yeah.
like, you have the barkeeper who has a tavern to run and he just can't do it
Yeah.
anymore, right? It's like, yeah, I hung up my sword a long time ago. I'm not as young as I used
Yeah.
to be.
Just
You
doesn't
guys
wanna.
go do it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, that
But
one's a fun trope.
but it also like the D&D cartoon, which is now running like on streaming services, the old
Oh, the old
1982
one
one.
is actually running
Yeah, you
again?
can see that just about anytime, anywhere on
Oh,
some
that's
some
awesome.
channel. And yeah, the dungeon master in that one, like I was always like, well, what the heck, man? Like, why don't you help these guys? Oh no, oh
Yeah.
no, no, maybe you'll get home next week. Well, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Spoilers if you haven't watched the show from 40 years ago or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, 50
It's
years ago. I
like
forget the year.
it's like Star Trek Voyager. They're not getting home this week.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I do love Voyager. I do.
Voyager
For all
was
its
Voyager's a great concept. It was a great concept.
yeah,
And
I love Janeway. I love Tuvok.
there's some
I
great
don't love
stuff in
Tom
there.
Paris. Do not
Y-
like Tom Paris.
Yeah, and they really wasted Chakotay.
Yeah, yeah,
There
didn't
was this whole
yep.
tension between the Maquis and the
In the
Starfleet
Federation.
guys, and
Yeah.
they left that. It was like 3 episodes, and that was
Yeah,
done.
and then it's
And
just
then
we hand wave
every
that and
once in a
now
while, they throw
it's
Seska in there, and they'd be like,
right,
"Okay, we'll
right.
bring this up a little bit," and then she turns into a Kazon, and she's really a Cardassian, and blah blah blah. But
I
you
think
know,
and blah 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 kind of summarizes a lot of how Voyager loses its way sometimes,
well, I
you
mean,
know.
there were moments like when they fight the Borg, awesome. When they ally with the
Yeah.
Borg against the species
Species
4278,
something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
the
organic species,
wonderful with
super
like the
cool.
cross-eyed, the cross pupils. I love that. So
Yeah.
like I play one of the characters I play is a uh, um, what do you call it? The astral elf, right? So the
Hmm.
astral elf has a characteristic where the whites of their eyes are black and
Hmm.
the pupils look like you would see in pictures of stars. It like
Cool.
looks like a cross, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that opposite effect. So he's very charismatic, but unnerving, right? So
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. All right, well, that's my argument. Okay. I'm not saying that he
Yeah.
is, I'm not saying he isn't, but you know enough about the Lord of the Rings. I think that like my viewers would love to hear a little bit more about the Maiar. What actually is Gandalf according to Tolkien?
Yeah, yeah. So, and get in the comments if I'm wrong, if wrong about this, if you don't agree with my interpretation. But I mean, basically, there are a number of magical beings created by, for lack of a better term for this conversation, God.
Hmm.
Like the closest we would have to a benevolent deity that is godlike. And they're
Hmm.
called the Maiar. And there's a bunch of them. They're not just the Maiar is a catch-all for a lot of entities. Like I believe the Balrog is Maiar. Like they're not
So they're like celestials.
very yeah celestials, but good or bad, right? They're because some of them like the Balrog are not good, but they're magical beings that are sent to Middle Earth for a purpose. The wizards, which I believe are the Istari, of which there are five, three only feature in the movies. Well, two only in Lord of the Rings. Anyway, they are these angelic, these celestial entities put inside the body of an old-looking dude. And the reason for that is to make them walk among the people and help them. But they are like they can't be killed. Like you could kill the body, but like they're not dead. They can't theoretically die. They just like go back to heaven. Again, lack of a better term, uh, in this context. So Gandalf,
They
as we
actually
know
get into
him,
that in the Rings of Power, actually.
yeah, yeah,
The
they start
Amazon series. They talk about that.
right, yeah. So Gandalf, Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White are just you're smushing a celestial down into a person. And so he's not as powerful as maybe he could be if that was his purpose, right? But his purpose is more the wizards are there to guide more so than to solve problems themselves. But to tie it to hags, they like a hag or a witch or a Latish or any of these other folkloric characters know a secret. They have a secret knowledge,
Hmm.
right? That's a huge feature in these sort of people. It's
Mm.
going to be different. The type of knowledge they have might be different. Like Gandalf speaks these languages that nobody else can remember, or he can talk to the birds and the moths, and he can talk to horses, right? All of these things. He has a secret knowledge, and that's really what his greatest like value is. This knowledge and wisdom he has. But yeah, he's like a celestial. Do some D&D terms. He's like a celestial in the form of a person temporarily. Maybe
Is
if you
that
want to
an
say that.
Asimar?
Well, so an Asimar is, from what I remember, I'm trying to think of the current of like modern D&D's
Hmm.
presentation of the Asimar, which is from the union of like a, is that one? It's a union of a mortal and a celestial entity. I'm
Like
trying
a
to remember.
dragonborn kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, because really
Maybe.
it's more
They
like
like
you're
that. They like the half,
yeah,
borns,
yeah. And so yeah, the
like half
wizards in
elf
Lord of the Rings aren't like a hybrid sort of situation. It's a temporary form that an angelic force is
takes.
taking.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's a manifestation on this earthly plane of
Yeah,
something.
it's kind of like the gods, the deity stat blocks in D&D. Those
Yeah.
are just the avatar they put down
Yeah.
here. Like when
Avatar is a great word.
yeah, they're an avatar of a
Yeah.
greater
Hmm.
magical or celestial force.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Gandalf is.
Hmm.
So yeah, when you fight, let's see what's an example that they don't have a lot of these stat blocks anymore. Back in like third edition 3.5, they had a ton of them. Like you fight
Ah, where's my
Asmodeus.
deities and demigods? It's right there.
Oh yeah,
Use the
is that a
force. Come
3 point
here.
is that a 3.5 book?
No, here, let me show you.
Which one's that? I'm trying to remember. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
this thing's probably
yeah.
worth money. I don't know, but like
That's
it's
an
so
artifact right there.
yeah, it's so funny because and it's in really good shape. The I bought
Yeah.
this. I was in college and I bought it at a yard sale. And it was with the I don't have the monster manual, I don't think,
Hmm.
but I have the player's guide and the dungeon master's guide. With all
Yeah.
four books were there. And the lady's like, "Yeah, $1 each." And I was like, they're not yours. Whose are these?" And she said, "They're my son's. He's at college." And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh."
man.
I said, "Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you $4. I'm going to give you my number." And when he comes home from college, if he wants these back, you tell him to call me and I'll give them back. And nobody ever called. So I've had these this whole time. And
Wow.
oh God,
What a
if
great find,
my
though.
mother had done that, I'd have been like, Mom,
Yeah,
why'd you just sell my soul?
that happened to one of my friends. I know somebody whose magic cards. Um, he had like original beta magic cards that were thrown out when he went
Probably
away to
so
school.
much money, probably thousands of dollars just
Yeah,
gone.
because it's one of these, junk cardboard that he has stored here. It's just taking up space, so it gets thrown out.
Well,
Yeah, from
materially, yeah, that's what it is. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
glossy cardboard. But like, you know, that's why when
yeah.
I go through my old books, I'm like, wait a minute, let me check first. Is Alexander Kent's signal close action worth anything? Nah, it's
Yeah.
worth like five
When I
bucks. It's not
love
worth it.
physical books so much,
Yeah.
I have it's not, I mean, obviously, since I started late in the hobby, the year 2000, but I still have my third edition player's handbook that is in terrible condition because of how much I used it,
Used it. Yeah,
right?
that's
It's
great.
falling apart. I don't want to rebind it or repair it or get a new one. I love it, um, for
It's a
how much I
trophy.
clearly used it.
It's a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say, look at
Important
me.
to my, to who I am now was that I
It's what a
happened to get
wizard's
those
spell
books.
book would look like.
Absolutely.
A wizard
Well
who didn't have
loved.
prestidigitation.
Yeah, to clean it up. Yeah. That's the most if I could have any spell, any low-level spell in the real world, it'd be that one.
Okay, so here's our next video. I have a friend, we talk about this all the time, and Brian and I never did this. He has a channel called the Vertigree Table you may have heard of.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's growing like crazy.
I've done videos with him. He's he's
He's
he's awesome. Yeah.
freaking awesome. And he's in my Tuesday night D&D group, so I'm very fortunate. We
Oh,
met
awesome. Is he
we met
local to you?
we met at a convention. So
Oh,
I
that's
was
so
on a
cool.
pan I had a panel and I was at the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo in 2023 and I had maybe 10 people in the audience, my panel,
Yeah.
but I had them all sign up and write down their email addresses. I kept in touch with a few of them. And it turns out Ryan and I live like 5 miles away from each other.
Oh,
So we're
that's
like,
wild.
holy mackerel, dude.
That's so cool.
So yeah, and so we just like, and we've ever since we've done tons of videos and we've played together for, almost every Tuesday night for ages. Uh,
That's awesome.
but like,
Yeah.
yeah, so the I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's just a great story. Yeah, super cool. It goes back to what we were saying way at the start, just how tight-knit and cool the TTRPG community and the Dungeon Tuber community can be, right?
True.
There's really not a lot of other hobby spaces like this that are so welcoming. I've found. I
It's
was
my
talking.
experience with YouTube is very positive. I've talked
Yeah,
to other
me
people
too.
that say they've had negative comments. If I get a negative comment, it's usually like legit. It's usually like this title is clickbait. It doesn't say what it's supposed to say. And I'll be like, maybe, you know what? You're kind of right. I probably misled you a little bit, but
Sure.
that's what YouTube is. Sometimes I got to get the clicks, but like, yeah, you're right. What's a better title? And then I try to engage the criticism because I need feedback. So like I'll say like what do you want me to call it? And
Yeah.
and then they usually come up with a good idea or they just go silent because the
Yeah.
rage
The
thing
rage is
isn't there
abated.
because I'm not reacting
Yeah.
like
They wanted to bait you
there's no
into it.
rise. Yeah, because I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Percentage
Yeah.
wise,
It's like
it's
90,
very overall
10. It's even
positive.
more probably. But yeah, so the next video that I was just thinking would be a good one is let's go through all the cantrips and say, okay, how if you in real life had one of these cantrips, you would be rich for the rest of your life, Because like any of them, create food and water, best caterer ever, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
you
The
would have
one
a
for wealth is
vocation,
interesting.
right? I mean,
Yeah. The wealth
mending.
angle. Yeah. Mending is potentially
The best
insane.
handyman I've ever met on, like your
Well, you'd
local,
be able
like,
to mend things that can't be traditionally fixed,
right?
right? That's potentially extremely interesting.
Well, if it were broken hearts, you could be like a matchmaker
Yeah.
or a
Yeah, mend
psychologist.
my broken heart.
All right. I think we've
That's
come to
funny.
the logical conclusion of this video, but thank you so much. And Peter, do you want to plug what you're going to do? I'm not posting this until after Monster Week has begun. And if you don't, that's fine. You can keep it a secret as well.
No, I'll plug it. So my video will be coming out at the end of Monster Week. That's just when
Perfect.
I usually release videos on Friday mornings. And my video is actually about folklore, which we touched on here, and about folkloric monster design. So if you
Nice.
are home brewing your own monsters or making your own tabletop role-playing game, I talk about how I approach making monsters that feel like they're folkloric rather than fantasy, right?
Cool.
And what those differences are. So that's my video, which would be Friday morning. I don't know exactly how many days from the airing of this that will be, but Friday
Yeah.
morning on Tales from Elsewhere, that'll be my video.
So if I go chronologically, I've done four of these, so probably Thursday. But when yours airs, I'll get
Sure.
the link to it from you. You can
Cool.
send it to me, and then I'll put it in the description box
Yeah, if you
post
Google Tales
release.
from Elsewhere, you will.
Mhm.
I've gotten the ESO. Like my stuff comes up if you Google that now. So yeah,
Yay!
Google Tales from Elsewhere, and you'll probably get the video
You could
from
figure
there.
out if I could figure out that, I'd be like a really happy camper. All
Yeah,
right.
it is not easy. Yeah,
No, and it changes all the time.
yeah,
It's crazy trying to predict the algorithms.
yeah,
All right. So yeah, well, I mean, I had a great time. Hopefully
yeah.
we can
This
do
was
this again
a
in the future.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great way to spend my lunch break. Such a treat.
Back to work.
Yep, back to work.
Okay. All right, guys, signing off. Don't forget comments and like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. All right. Great seeing you. Thanks everybody out there. Love you. See you later.